So we've talked about values and we've talked about facts. I'd like to spend a moment talking about the relationship between facts and values. And what I want to say is that facts by themselves will never tell you how to act. There was this idea for a while that was popular. It was sort of this idea of evidence-based medicine, that we need to look at the evidence and follow the evidence and decide based on what the evidence tells us. I want to suggest that evidence by itself will never tell you what to do. Evidence only becomes relevant when it tells you about something that matters to you, right? For example, let's say that you're considering buying an electric car and someone just tells you, well, you're going to get this many kilometers per charge, or they're going to tell you that this is the impact that this electric car is going to have on the environment. Well, by themselves, those facts are actually meaningless. They only become relevant if it's important to you to maximize the amount of distance you can drive on one charge, or if it's important to you to minimize your negative impact on the environment. If those things matter, then you want to know what the facts are about how far you can drive on a charge, or what the consequences for the environment are going to be if you purchase this kind of car, if you make that kind of choice. So a fact is only relevant when it tells you about something that matters, of value. So in some ways, moral reasoning is a very kind of almost mathematical approach to critical thinking. And you'll see in this slide a table that you can actually use to help lay out the situation that's emerging. At the top of the table you see, there is the question: what's the problem that we're trying to solve? How should I approach my transportation needs? Or what should the discharge plan for this patient be? Then you'll see the column here that says it's important that. That's where we would unpack all of the things that are at stake, which we showed you earlier. So in the discharge plan, it's important that we keep the patient safe, we follow our policies, we create space in the hospital for others who need the bed, we meet the patient's physical and mental health needs, whatever it is. So we would list all the things that matter in that column. Then, beside it, we would articulate what we know the facts on the ground are relative to that value, right? And the table also then lets us do a couple of really important things. It helps us identify missing information on the right there, relative to each value statement. It sets us up to thematize the values, give each value a value theme so we can see what relates to each other. And then on the very far left of the table, you'll see a P, and that's about prioritization. It's an opportunity to say what should matter most. If you were to prioritize these values, say by giving them a score of 1 to 3, where 1 is most important and 3 is least important, where would each one fit? And on the far right of the table, you can see it says implications. If this is most important, then what would the implication be for our solution that we're trying to develop? So what I'm trying to say is that when we're doing moral reasoning, critical thinking about values and facts to problem solve, this lays out very nicely in an almost algorithmic kind of way. This isn't scientific in any way at all, but it is systematic. Moral reasoning is about the systematic articulation, weighing, balancing what should matter, understanding of the facts, and then problem solving. That's the approach that we're offering here.